Alright, the first week of 2024 just wrapped up, right? And we are looking at the first event of the UFC this weekend. But before we get into the events and all of that, I want to talk to you guys about this year. I'm going to be making some videos predicting the champion by the end of this year, some of the best moments from last year, fights we want to see this year, etc. Like all these types of videos I'm going to make. So let me know in the comment section below which one you want to see next. And today we are going to be talking about fights I want to see in 2024. Now, I made a video last year talking about fights I wanted to see in 2023. And I'm going to put the list on the screen, but you guys could see that none of those fights actually wound up happening. Jon Jones and Stipe almost wound up happening, but obviously did not. I went from the start of 2023 for me saying, yeah, I want to see that fight, to now in the beginning of 2024 saying, no, thank you, I don't want to see that fight anymore. But before we get into it, I want to remind you guys to hit the subscribe button, like, comment, and share. It really helps with the algorithm and help me grow. And comment in the comment section below, what fights are you most excited to see in 2024? What fights should happen? Let me know in the comment section below. Also forgot to mention that I am going to be doing a Q&A sometime this week, so comment in the comment section below whatever questions you guys want to ask for that video. Now, some honorable mentions, some non-UFC fights I want to see. Ryan Garcia versus Devin Haney. That fight's been talked about a little bit here and there, but now it looks like he's going to fight Rolly Romero. The PFL versus Bellator event is another event I'm excited for that has been rumored. It looks like it's going to happen in Saudi Arabia. KSI versus Jake Paul, I'm going to once again put on the honorable mention list. I mean, those two just hate each other. It needs to happen, and I think the world needs to see one of those two knocked out cold. And at some point this year, I want to see Dylan Dennis back in MMA. We haven't seen Dylan Dennis in MMA in over 5 years now, and I think it's about time. Whether it's back in Bellator, whether it's in the PFL, whether it's in the UFC, I just want to see him active. And let's see, is he really good? How good is he? We know he has some good jiu-jitsu skills, and I'm excited to see how he is at the top. And I thought he did such a good job promoting the Logan Paul fight. I think if this guy could actually fight, I think he could be very exciting for the sport. But let's get into this top five. All right, I'm going to start off the list with my number 5 pick, which is Alexa Grasso versus Weili. Now, both girls are champions. Only 10 pounds are separating the two, and Alexa Grasso just beat Valentina Shevchenko back in March, and then fought her again in September, and that fight was a draw. I thought it should have went Alexa Grasso's way, but I really don't want to see her fight up Valentina Shevchenko again. I'm sorry, I thought that she won the last fight, and honestly, the last fight was pretty boring. Don't really care about that fight. And Weili and Alexa Grasso have gone back and forth over this break talking about fighting each other, and this would mean that Zhang Weili would be the 5th double champion in UFC history. Now, I think it's an interesting matchup. First of all, both girls are very exciting on the feet. They both hit hard. They both got good boxing, but as of late, Weili has been incorporating that grappling, and that's why I think Weili would have an edge. I think she'll be able to mix it up. I think we saw Alexa Grasso have a lot of problems with the grappling of Shevchenko. And let's be honest, Shevchenko didn't seem to want to stand with her a lot in that fight, but I think that Weili will have the ability to stand up and go to the ground. So I think she's going to be able to mix it up a lot more and have Grasso really on her heels and be able to take her down a lot, and I think she'll wind up winning, and I think it'll be a really fun fight too. And the only problem with this, to be fair, is Alexa Grasso does have some other challengers in line, right? Like I said, she has the trilogy with Shevchenko. She could fight Erin Blanchfield next, and if Fierro is going to be in the mix, even though Erin and Manon are going to be fighting in March, I mean, those are two top contenders that she has to go through. And Weili, let's be honest, is not the most active fighter, right? She usually fights like once a year. She fought Amanda Lemos last time, and I thought she should have fought Jan in that fight, and we haven't seen her since August, and that was a pretty dominant performance. Now, I don't know if she's injured, I don't know what's going on, but regardless, the point is that she is not active, and she also has some other contenders, so that might be what's holding up the fight. Moving on to number 4, I'm talking about Colby Covington and Ian Gary. Now, this has been a fight that has been talked about by both sides. Colby Covington said he would be down to fight Ian Gary, and Ian Gary went on the MMA Hour saying that he wants to fight Colby in the undercard of the Conor McGregor versus Michael Chandler fight, which that would be a good co-main event, a good spotlight, because Colby Covington is pretty popular. We know his trash talk is there, and let's be honest, he did not look good against Leon Edwards. I don't know what that performance was, and I'm still pretty angry about it, but regardless of that, I think it would be a winnable matchup for Colby. We haven't really seen Ian Gary tested at the top yet, and that would be a perfect transition for Ian Gary, that if he beats Colby Covington, I think he would get a title shot after that. I mean, when you look at the guys that beat Colby outside of Alves with that guillotine, it's been Kamaru Usman, it's been Leon Edwards, the guys at the top, so for Ian Gary to be included in that list would be a big deal for him. And let's be honest, the trash talk between the two, that alone, I mean, we've seen Colby Covington go after Ian Gary's wife, and the fight would be super, super personal and very hyped up. Plus, being in a co-main event or something like that to a Conor McGregor card would be a massive deal, and I think Colby would more than definitely accept that fight. Number 3, I want to see O'Malley versus Cory Sandhagen. Now, O'Malley is going to be fighting Chito Vera, and who knows, he could lose that fight, but my prediction on O'Malley, I think he'll win that fight, but then after that, I think in the summertime, he's going to fight the winner of Cejudo versus Merab, and I honestly think he might beat either one of those guys. I think he could potentially beat Cejudo, and I think he could potentially beat Merab. Merab is good, don't get me wrong, but I do think that O'Malley can beat him. I'm not saying it's confirmed in my prediction, it's just he can, and if that's the case, I think O'Malley will be looking to have an active year. I think maybe at the end of the year, he might be looking to fight Cory Sandhagen, because my prediction will be that Cory will fight in the summer sometime. Maybe he fights against Umar, and then maybe he wins, because I think he does beat Umar, and then they meet up at the end of the year. I think that is the most realistic possibility of how that fight could happen. But both of those guys, I mean, they're 5'11", they're tall, and they also are both very dynamic strikers. Cory, though, however, has been going to the grappling, and in my opinion, I think Cory Sandhagen is one of the most underrated guys. I think he could go down as one of the better bantamweights once he gets his resume going, once he gets a belt, and he's just so well-rounded, and he really is dedicated to the craft. I mean, his YouTube channel is definitely something to check out. I'm a big fan of Cory Sandhagen, and I would love to see that fight. It'll be a fun fight for sure. All right, coming at number 2 is a fight that I've been talking about for a little bit that I think that they should make, and I hope they make. Khamzat Chimaev versus Israel Adesanya. Now, there has been speculation that Israel Adesanya is preparing for something, right? And if he is going to fight Khamzat Chimaev in his next fight, and it's going to be soon, I would probably predict it's going to happen in Saudi Arabia, especially with the news that Islam Makhachev is going to be out for a while. I think that potentially could headline the fight because that would be a fun fight, a fun main event, and it is 1000% possible. And I think a lot of people are hating on Izzy right now. I think a lot of people are looking down on his skill set, but I think that this is a 1000% winnable matchup. The takedown defense of Israel Adesanya is underrated. I know a lot of people point to the fact that Marvin Vettori took him down, and Marvin Vettori got his back. We've seen Khamzat Chimaev's grappling. He's good for a round. He goes full force. He uses his full strength in the beginning, does everything he can to get you to the mat, and then gasses out in the later rounds. And I would predict that the fight between Izzy and him would be 5 rounds. I would predict that the UFC would make it 5 rounds, whether it be a co-main event or a main event or whatever it be. I think it's going to be 5 rounds. And we've never seen Khamzat Chimaev go past the 3rd round, and he's looked tired in the 3rd round. I mean, I thought that Usman beat him in the last fight. So I think we could see, Israel Adesanya maybe get ragdolled a little bit in the beginning, a lot of scrambles, but then I think we're going to see Israel Adesanya take over. I think we're going to see him, defend those takedown leg kicks. I think Israel Adesanya is going to have to pick up on the activity, at least during the stand-up, to make it not a close fight, but I think he totally could win the fight, and maybe even knock out Khamzat. That's just my prediction. That's how I think the fight would happen. And I think the trash talk between the two, I mean, both those two are so hyped. They're both big stars. I think they should do the fight maybe in Saudi Arabia they do it, or maybe they do it at UFC 300. Alright, but what's the number 1 fight? What is the fight that I am most looking forward to seeing? I think it's on the top of a lot of people's lists. I'm going with Jon Jones and Tom Aspinall. Stipe got kicked off the list. Last year I wanted to see him and Stipe. I don't want to see that anymore. I want to see him and Aspinall. Now, why don't I want to see the Stipe fight anymore? Okay, like, look, last year it made a little bit more sense. Jon Jones just beat Cyril Gane. Keep in mind, Jon Jones wanted to return in July, International Fight Week against Stipe. That was only a couple months. It made sense. There wasn't really a number 1 contender at that time, so I was like, okay, let's do Stipe. However, now we have not just a number 1 contender, but an interim champion. And Jon Jones has not fought since that Cyril Gane win. And Tom Aspinall is more than deserving for a chance to fight at the title against Jon Jones. And it's an intriguing matchup. We have a guy young like Tom Aspinall, who is big, who is fast, who's powerful, who has a great ground game. And Jon Jones, who is, let's be honest, is getting on the older side, who has typically struggled in the boxing area. And, you could say, well, maybe Jon Jones would grapple a lot of these heavyweights. Well, Tom Aspinall's a black belt in jiu-jitsu and has very good grappling. So I think a fight between Stipe and Jon is stupid. It doesn't do anything for Jon's legacy. Let him fight Tom Aspinall. And that's just a more hyped up fight. It might not be on a trash-talking level because I think both guys will be rather respectful for each other. Even though these two have been going back and forth on Twitter as of late, I think it would be rather respectful if the fight was ever made. And it's interesting. You really don't know who would win. And I think that Tom Aspinall could 1000% win. And I was a guy defending Jon Jones and saying he would beat Cyril Gane when a lot of MMA fans thought Cyril Gane was going to beat Jon. People were calling me a dick rider and delusional for picking Jon. And even me, someone that was called that, I might be picking Tom Aspinall in that matchup. But that is the fights that I'm looking for 2024. Did I miss any? Let me know in the comment section below. Make sure to check out my video talking about Conor McGregor's return at the International Fight Week and talking about if UFC 300 is dead and what could possibly headline that event. Thank you guys for watching. You guys are the best fan base in MMA. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below, and I'll see you guys in the next one.